I believe that stimulant medicine should not be used to treat ADHD in children, and I'll show you why today. According to the CDC, central nervous system stimulant medications were provided, prescribed, or continued at about 80% of ADHD visits among children ages 4 to 17 years old. For the entirety of humanity, people have been fine without medications such as Adderall or Ritalin, but all of a sudden, there is a dire need to have children consume these drugs. Society will accept anything if doctors and scientists deem it to be beneficial, without the consumer doing any of their own research for their own good. And I find that in society, when doctors give the okay, then there's just no regard. Whereas, say, if you got the exact same medication from the street, it would be a whole different story. And it's prescribed at such a vast rate now that it's just so many different people taking it. Stimulants they're very detrimental to a child's development, and they can cause future abuse habits, and I'll explain how. Dr. Lambert states in the Journal of Learning Disabilities, we reported a significant difference in rates of daily smoking and tobacco dependence for those with ADHD who had used stimulant medication in childhood in contrast to controls. Results were interpreted to support a possible link between ADHD medication histories and levels of tobacco smoking and tobacco dependence in adulthood. America has a substance abuse issue, and these prescribed stimulants are not only adding to the problem, they're glorifying it. And you'll also see in anywhere from school to tech, just to any job really, it's everyone's taking Adderall and stuff, and it's used as I guess like a performance enhancer, when in actuality it's just, it's being used as a crutch that you're going to depend on. Like I stated, these medications they're viewed as learning aids, production enhancers, and in actuality they're very similar. And some experts and doctors say they're almost identical to the chemical makeups of methamphetamine or cocaine. And prescribing this at a young age, this introduces children to substances very young and gets them sort of comfortable with that feeling, and really it gets them comfortable with taking pills and feeling the effects of them, and it's pretty extreme at that. It's pretty easy to identify what children are taking ADHD medication and what children are not. It's a drug. So you're going to see teeth chattering, legs bouncing up and down, and really fast sentences. It changes a child's personality, and if taken long and consistently enough, these changes can become permanent. In the Journal of Medical Ethics, Lena Singh writes, stimulant drugs pose a threat to authenticity and to children's capacity for moral agency. Children are being accustomed to these drugs, and they rely on them. If kids get accustomed to drugs when they're 11 or 12 years old, what is expected to happen in 8 to 9 years? Tolerances become higher, and in some cases, people turn to more powerful illegal substances which are unregulated and could contain anything inside. Stimulants such as Adderall, Ritalin, all of those, they can slow a child's growth severely, and they can cause anxiety or depression, and there's a plethora of just negative side effects that go along with it. And these negative side effects, they're introduced to our population, and I just think in the first place it wasn't even necessary to introduce the drug. According to Medical Daily, Adderall mimics the actions of neurotransmitters, which is essentially adrenaline, and our natural abilities are weakened with the aid. So it's kind of like, I would liken that to maybe getting a vaccine or something. It's just taking this is having this all the time is you're not gonna be prepared for when you go out and don't have it. And we already come into this world with innate mental resources, and these operations are altered if there's any sort of artificial substance that imitates what we already can naturally do. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to the question of whether it's really worth it or not. The pros and cons must be prepared, and today's children are not much more intelligent than the children of the past, even with the new stimulants. Actual learning and studying techniques would be much more beneficial, I believe, because those are concrete, unlike a pill that you just take. There are so many issues that are beyond our control, and this is an issue that's just emerging that, if nipped in the bud, could potentially alter the future of our nation for the better. In closing, ADHD medication is sometimes all right if used as a crutch occasionally, but I believe that everyday use of ADHD medication is detrimental to a child's development, and it will have detrimental effects that last the rest of their lives. Thank you.